As a fundraising coordinator, I want to automatically send a survey to donors 24 hours after they make a donation. And this is just meant for us to use the scheduled path in a record triggered flow. So we're not actually sending a survey, we're just sending the link to a survey. And there is no survey that we're setting up, it's just some dummy link. The acceptance criteria is that given a new or updated gift transaction when the status becomes paid, then automatically send an email to the donor after 24 hours with that link to the survey. Let's see how we can do that. Let's go and create a new flow. And we're going to go with a record triggered flow on the gift transaction object. Record triggered flow on gift transaction. Would like this to run on create or update. And I like to go with create with the formula on create and or update to set the conditions for new records on one line and then the conditions for updated records on another line. To know if it is a new record, I'll use isNew function. And then the value for the status field needs to be paid if it is new. And because it's a pick list field, I'm going to use isPickVal here. And then this is the status field on the global variable record. That's the record that triggered this flow. And then the status of this needs to be paid. So these are the conditions for the new records. I'll encapsulate them in parentheses. And then in new line, that's the conditions for the updated records now. And these conditions are whenever the status changes from some value other than paid to paid. So I need two things. I need the is changed on the status field. Copy this. Whenever the status field changes to become paid. And then I'll encapsulate these as well. So these are the conditions for new and updated. Because we've selected is changed, we're using is changed, then we're going to keep this at every time. And then because we're sending an email, I'll set it to actions and related records. Put send survey. Okay, now if we click on the start element, there is this option add scheduled pass, and I would like this to run after 24 hours. And let's set the time source to last modified date. Because this last modified date is going to work if it is a created record or it's an updated record. This is the last modified date. I would like this to run after 24 hours. We have a couple of other options as well. And then here we'd like to send an email. So this is just a dummy email. We're just interested in the action. So let's send email link and then the recipient. I'll just send it to my email. Then subject, this link as well. Okay, so now that we have built it, we would like to test that. So we can do one thing. We can let's activate it for a second, and let's go ahead and update this record to paid, and yeah, let's update it to paid. Should happen. We're gonna need to populate the transaction here. What should happen now is after 24 hours from the last modified date, which is after now, it should be sent out. And the way you can monitor such a scheduled activity is if you go to setup and you search for time-based workflow. Time-based workflow. Let's search and see if this is expected to go out. So this record on this object is triggered auto send survey. It was just scheduled now. It was scheduled now, and then it should go out after 24 hours as per this flow. So this is where you can see such things like the processes that are running in the future after in a certain schedule. And not to separate this with scheduled jobs. This is where if you are in a scheduled triggered flow, you would monitor these under scheduled jobs instead. So scheduled path paths are under time-based workflows. Okay, now I'd like to test it now instead, so we could change this to like 0 minutes after, so that it runs immediately. It might just like not be exactly 0 minute after, but let's try this instead. One minute after. Okay, so we can set this to run after 1 minute so that we can test that. Now let's go ahead and find a gift transaction in an unpaid status. Let's see this one, and let's update this to paid. And set the close date. Okay, now that we have updated this to paid, it should take a minute. It says minute, but it might actually take more than 1 minute. While we're waiting for this, it's at 4,000, so I should expect an email now to be 4,001. Until that happens, let's go ahead and debug another record. Let's debug this one. Let's debug this. Let's close this now. Let's debug. We need to debug the path for after 24 hours. And let's set this to as if it were updated. Let's update this record. Looks like we don't have the option to update here. So we're going to go with a paid one then, because the entry conditions are that they need to be paid. So we can use this one instead. Let's use this one. And in this case, it doesn't matter created or updated after 24 hours. Let's run and see what happens. In debug mode, it's working fine. Entry conditions are met. It's going to send the email. We haven't received this yet. I'll be pausing this recording until this email comes through. There it is. So it just came in. Now we know that this flow is working and the scheduled path is working.